Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Um, so, I just want to do some introductions, tell everyone who doesn't know who I am, and introduce the speakers who are going to be speaking with you today. So, my name is Adrian Waters. I am a real estate investor, property manager, and a mentor and real estate coach. Um, I also own a venue in downtown Baltimore as an investment. It's a like event space, concert hall, if you will. Um, and I've owned several businesses over the last 20 years or so. What I did in 2008 was I put together a nonprofit organization called PEAK, and the acronym is PEEK, which stands for Professionals and Entrepreneurs Empowering Kids. I've done a lot of work with public school systems, workshops, and things of that nature, trying to inspire kids in the high school range, on their way to college, or if you're already in college, on various career paths, entrepreneurship, and to be fiscally responsible and to have some type of financial education. Why? Because when I was in high school, many years ago, a lot of what was taught to us was to prepare us for college, to prepare us for careers, and nothing was really speaking on preparing us for to be business owners, preparing us to be investors, if that's something that we wanted to do. It just did not exist. Likewise, in my household, my parents were not business owners. They did not have this information that you're about to get today. And so these were not the things that were shared around the dinner table about the importance of credit, about wealth building, the basic differences between, assets and liabilities. When you make purchases, what the interest rate is and what it means over time. And so through Peak, I've done all of this work. This is an extension of that. A few years ago, we did this workshop in person. Now, due to COVID, we're doing it virtually, but the information still should get out there. There are young people who have gone through this program before. My daughter, Jayla, is on the call, and my cousin Isaac. They're both 21. They went through this a few years ago. They have great credit and they're well on their way. They're making savings and doing they're doing some amazing things. So I want to see, it's never too late to get started, whether you're 16, 17, 18, 25, how old you are, doesn't matter. It's never too late to get started, to get on the right path. One of the things I always ask people when I speak to them, and just kind of like think this over in your mind. You don't have to unmute yourself and answer right now, but just kind of think, who are some of your heroes? And sometimes I think people confuse hero with mentor. A mentor can be a hero, but a hero doesn't always have to be a mentor. Like, one of your heroes or someone who inspires you, that does not have to be a person that's even alive right now. Just think about, like, who do you draw inspiration from, and what books do you read? That's a question that I have for a lot of young people. What are you feeding your brain? Uh, all right, because, and I have some books I'm going to share, some books that I've read, and so you guys can make note of these, and these are good books to get. All right, this one's called 1 Minute Manager. All right. And this is all about managing your time. It's not a big book. It's all about managing your time. It's really good book. All right. This is another book called The One Thing. Right. This was written by Mr. Keller. He's part of you. Everybody's heard of Keller Williams brokerage. Keller broke that book. It's that's all about like focusing on one thing. Sometimes people are, find themselves not being productive by trying to be the jack of all trades, trying to do too many things, and then you're not great. You don't specialize in one. If you were a medical doctor, who makes the most money as a medical doctor? Specialists, more so than general practitioners. So, once you find your passion, once you find what you're good at, what you excel, areas you excel in, focus on the one thing that you want to be successful, and really kind of like blow that out the water. There's another one. This is called the 48 Laws of Power. This book, uh, it's a great book. I've read it more than once, and it really tells you and leads and guides you on, how to make moves, how to interact with people in the workplace and society. It makes you take a hard look at yourself and kind of like, perfect the moves you're making. And last but not least, I can't endorse this enough. I've actually, two of these books I'm gonna give away. I buy these books just to give them away. This is Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? This book right here talks about how Robert Kiyosaki was growing up, and he had two dads. So one dad was his natural biological father. The other person he called his dad was his best friend growing up, his dad. And one dad was rich, one dad was poor, and the lessons that he learned from both of these fathers. Now I purchased these books sometimes just to give away. And so today at the end, I'm gonna give these two books away to somebody on here. I'm gonna make sure you get these. All right. Now, what I'm gonna do is also, oh, I want to let you know, if you looked at the flyer, we have three amazing speakers that were going to speak to you today: George Barris, uh, Yolanda Smith, and also Tony Mendez. Tony Mendez fell under the weather, and so in place of Tony Mendez, a last minute replacement who stepped in and filled in the gap is a good friend of mine and brother, um, um, Pastor David Carrington, who is going to bring some wisdom on financial matters to this session. So before I hand it off to our speakers, I just want to let you guys know one of my favorite. I get quotes from people all the time. I kind of keep them and draw inspiration from them. Bishop T.D. Jakes, I'm sure you all know who he is. He said sometimes that we take more pride in what we buy over what we build. Um, a lot of times, if you think about the culture, especially for a lot of young people nowadays, when what you see in ads, what you hear in your music, everything is about making it rain, holding a money phone up to your ear, buying, ridiculous spending, um, and waste. That's pretty much what's being piped into your brain through your headphones 24 hours a day. And to think that it's only entertainment, I would beg to differ. I mean, it can be entertainment, but it can also kind of skew your thinking. So when you do get a career, you feel like I need a Bugatti now. When you do get a when you do start working, you feel like I need the Birkin bag now. And we really should take more pride in things that we're building over things that we are attempting to buy and spend. And so with that, I just wanted to give you some inspiration. I just wanted to kind of give you an introduction of, who I am, why I feel this is important, why we're doing this. And I want to, David, if you could unmute yourself, I'm going to pass it off to you for a few minutes. At the end, we're going to have, um, after this, our three speakers come, we're going to have Kukira from CQ Bank or CQ Credit Union, who is partnering with me to put this together. I worked with CQ the last time, and we have something very special for everybody 18 and older if they want to participate. So if you can stay on for the entire time, soak up this information, take notes. We're going to have some Q&A at the end, and hopefully we can, change. David, you have it.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you. Again, my name is David Carrington. I'm the pastor of Redemption Church, and it's a profound pleasure to be here. I had the, you guys getting feedback? Oh, thank you. Um, I had the profound pleasure of talking with Adrian about his vision here, and it really was a blessing to me to hear his heart for the young people, the vision that the Lord gave him to impact the community, impact generations, that he wanted to leave something in this earth that would be here after he was long gone. And that investment vehicle is all of you. And it's an exciting thing. Proverbs 13:22 says something to us all. It says that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. A lot of times we think of that as just simply being money, simply leaving stocks and bonds, and that's a good thing. We thank God for all those vehicles. But the fact that Adrian is seeking to leave knowledge here to impart things to you all. Um, Proverbs again says in Proverbs 19:20 that if we listen to advice and accept instruction, in the end, we will be wise. So I'm encouraging you all to really open up your ears, get your notepads out. If you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. Here, the church has often been seen as the center, the hub, the heart of our community. And we've often sought to change and transform lives with the truth of the gospel. And that's a wonderful thing. We want everyone to know who God is. We want everyone to know who they are in God. And with that, unfortunately, over the years, sometimes we've been a little guilty of tilting so much towards the spiritual. You guys who do attend church regularly, you hear about the tithes, you hear about the offerings and different things like that. But very rarely do we talk about some more of the natural vehicles and the application of wisdom and how important it is. Adrian made mention of how he grew up not hearing certain things. The public education system is designed to create employees, whether you knew that or not. It was never designed to teach you how to build and handle wealth. It taught you how to learn certain skills to be good employees for other people who were visionaries, and how to also work just enough to buy their products. So it's actually designed to make you a consumer, not a producer. And it was actually families that passed down wisdom. It was families that passed down how to handle money, how to save, how to invest. So if you were not born into the right household, a lot of information you would never be privy to. But that day is over, and now we have opportunity. We have a chance to change, to grow, to be transformed with knowledge and information. So I'm so excited about this time. I'm excited about this opportunity. That again, where yes, in the church we want to give you that spiritual food, but we really also want you to grow in a more 360-degree holistic sense. It's important to balance the spiritual and the natural. So, with all these speakers who are coming forward with excellent information, keep your ears open. I know a lot of you who are younger, you're excited about, I wonder what the prizes are going to be. What's going to happen if I sit here long enough? Um, Whatever opportunities are afforded you, what Adrian just said just a few minutes ago about when you get that job, when you get that money, when you start that business, don't run out and try to buy the Bugatti immediately. Don't look necessarily for those get rich quick schemes, but take that slower path. The last scripture I want to leave you with, Proverbs 21:5, that says that the plans of the diligent lead to profit just as surely as haste leads to poverty. Trying to get it quick, it doesn't get it to last. Take your time, soak up this information. This is just a start. It's a doorway to introduce you to wisdom, a doorway to introduce you to change. Take advantage of this. Grab hold to all of this information, take the notes, ask the questions, and springboard from here into healthy relationships with your money, with your mentors, with different people who you're going to be exposed to. Adrian Waters being one of them, and grow from this. We're excited to see how many of you came out today, and we're even more excited to see the awesome impact that you're going to make in our community. We're all part of this together. We're all in this together. We're all growing together. So have a great time. Enjoy yourself. And with that, Adrian, I turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much, David, Pastor David. Those encouraging words. I hope everyone received that. Um, the funny part when he was talking about, referencing what I said about the Bugatti. What's really amazing is that, and I think many of us on this call are African American. What's amazing is, we've been stripped in many ways of our identity. A lot of us do not know our history, and when you don't know your identity, sometimes you will assume the identity of someone else, or someone will give you an identity and tell you this is what you should think, or this is the picture of what wealth looks like, or success for that matter. And so, again, going back to that reference I made before, we take more pride in what we buy over what we build. We feel like success means I have to have this type of house, this type of car. You'll find that if you educate yourself, if you learn how to save, if you learn how to invest, if you begin to amass and build wealth, that your desires and your tastes will change. Trust me, I know this to be true for myself. Am I filthy rich? No, but I'm extremely comfortable. And with that, I am comfortable. I don't feel like I need to have, $100,000 chain. If I had, I know a lot of you know who T-Pain is, and many other artists who will tell you they were multimillionaires and they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on jewelry and things that are not worth anything now. Um, when you can afford the, Aston Martin or the 600 AMG Mercedes, you'd be surprised. I know I can walk in the dealership right now and get one of those $150,000 car, but I don't want it. You'll be surprised. You can say, well, now that I can finally do this, I'd rather invest 150K into a business or into something that's going to generate more wealth for me, not to just spend it on a depreciating item like an automobile. So this is just the this whole session today is to kind of try to get someone on this call, if not all of you, to just take a different look at how you view money, how you view finances. And like I said, in the future, we're going to have some follow-up breakout sessions where we're going to really hone in on individual topics. This is just an overview. Yolanda Smith, Yolanda, you can unmute yourself now. I'll introduce you. Yolanda Smith is an entrepreneur that I met many years ago at a networking function, and very successful in many ways. I did not want to have only investors and business owners that were men on this call. I am I'm, it was a hashtag girl dad or something like that going around for a while, not long ago. And I am the father of two beautiful young girls. I don't have any sons. And so I want all of the young ladies to know and be inspired by a success story, a woman that I met many years ago, Yolanda Smith, an investor as well, and has several other businesses. I'll let you give your give your own resume. It's too extensive for me to remember everything. But with that, Yolanda, I turn it over to you. Thank you for being a part of this.
Thank you so much for having me here. I appreciate it. I love any opportunity I have to talk to young people coming up. I feel like when I say that, I'm so old when I say young people coming up. But I remember when I was in my teens and in my 20s, I didn't have breakout sessions like this or training sessions like this for somebody to school me and teach me. And so, any opportunity I have to be able to share, I love it. And I think it's a great chance for young people to listen and learn. Prayerfully, you all will listen to it. As Adrian said, I have several different businesses. I've been self-employed since 1994 and never turned back. Never got a job, never filled out a resume or application somewhere to work for somebody else. One thing that I was trained and taught as a kid was to always work for myself. And I have followed that. And so that's one of the main things I want to stress to you all, especially women, but stress to all of you all. Be focused, laser focused on being a business owner for yourself. Going to college is wonderful, it's great. I did that too. But you have to use that education to build for yourself, build for your family. And in doing that, make sure that you use opportunities like this to learn and grow from mentors or trainers or individuals that you can look up to, that you can take advice from. And that comes in all different directions. And right now, you all are at a pivotal time in life where you have access to technology and you can reach out to hundreds and thousands and even millions of people for the information that you need, the direction that you might want to go, mentors that you might want to try to secure in your life. You can reach out. When I was coming up in my 20s, it wasn't as accessible as it is right now. You had to write letters and send emails and knock on doors. But right now, you all can send a DM. You can send an instant message to somebody. You can ask. And that's the most pivotal thing. You have to ask. One of the ways that I've become so successful in life is asking. You have to reach out. If you're not asking, they're not going to come knocking on your door. You have to ask. And you might have to ask more than once, more than twice. You have to keep asking. Sometimes when I go into big business deals with people who I don't know, who I feel like sometimes can be above my level, above my pay grade, you know, how much they're making, it might take me a long time, a lot of messages, a lot of DMs to get to them, but eventually I do. So I would encourage you all to keep pressing forward, whatever you want to do business wise, but definitely consider being an entrepreneur for yourself and think big. When you go into business for yourself, stay laser focused on what you want to do. Know that that's what you want to do and think big in doing it. When I say that, meaning like myself, I've gone into a lot of different businesses and have maintained them for several years. And in doing that, I don't think on a small scale. I want to think 10 times bigger than just me and myself. So think about teams and staff and employees and all of that to make yourself grow bigger and multiply yourself 10, 20, 30 times. Adrian referred to Robert Kiyosaki. He's definitely one of my virtual mentors. I don't know the man, but I follow him. And one of the things he talks about was he has talked about is investors. They won't necessarily invest in a hamburger stand, but they will invest in a chain of McDonald's. It's totally different. It's the same product, it's the same service, but it's on a much larger scale. So I say with business, make sure you all think big, think large, think past what you might want to do as an individual and think about a business and how big you can grow it. And in doing that, you have to also think about your future and what you're planning to do. So if you plan on being a business owner, stay laser focused in doing that and don't change that. Know that that's what you're doing. So you're building your credit for that, you're saving your money towards that, you're building your business and banking relationships to make that happen. And it all starts right now. You don't have to wait until you have everything in place. It just takes one, two, three steps forward every day. So if you have to save $1 a day, $5 a day, $10 a day, whatever it is, make sure you know that that's going towards your business, or make sure that's going towards building your credit, things like that. It's important to start now and don't wait. Don't wait and say, someday I'm gonna do this, someday I'm gonna be a business owner, someday I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. No, you start that right now. You start taking notes every day, you start planning your business every day, you start working on a draft of a business plan, you get yourself a business bank account. It don't have to be a lot of money. If you deposit $50 a month, $50 a year, whatever it is, get it started, get it going. And I also want to say, Adrian mentioned being a woman business owner. There's a whole different set of hurdles that you have to jump over as a woman in business. It doesn't make it difficult. It just takes a little bit more. Men don't always take you seriously. As I hate to admit that, but they don't. So you have to be stronger. You have to be more confident. You have to make sure that you position yourself, empower yourself to be able to do that. Adrian mentioned the 48 Laws of Power. That's a great book. I've read it multiple times. There's another book, The 48 Laws of Seduction. That is a sister book to that 48 Laws of Power. I would encourage all the women here to buy it. It talks about women across the centuries, powerful women, and how they have taken control of the world. in so many regards. Get it and read it. It teaches you about being a woman and using your strength and your power as a woman and what you can do in business. So I would say the women should definitely get that. And the last thing I'll say about women business owners, think outside the box. Don't just think you have to do something basic and say, oh, I'm not going to do that. That's for men. Like myself, one of the businesses I have, I'm a truck driver. And so I have a trucking company. And I started off with doing cross country truck driving. I never saw myself as doing that. I'm a heels and stiletto nails type chick. I never wanted to be a truck driver. But I saw the money in it and I saw what could be done with that. And so I went from one truck to two trucks and just kept building over the last few years. My goal is to have 250 trucks by the end of the year. It's an extremely competitive, male dominated business. However, women can do it. So don't feel like anything that you want to do, you can't necessarily do it because you're a woman. You can. You can. You don't have to be hands on with everything, but you can do it as a woman. And the same thing with men. Think outside your box and think big and get it done. Entrepreneurship is a great way to go, a great way to live, and you will enjoy it. And so that's what I would have to say about all of that, about business and being an entrepreneur. And don't forget about the saving. Stay laser focused and make sure that you save and that you're working on your credit to make sure that your business is strong, financially strong, and you can get ahead. Okay. So I don't know
Thank you.
what else. I could go on and on about this, but I think those are the key points that I would definitely like to drive home to you all.
Thank you so much,
Sure.
Yolanda. Um, Everyone was inspired by your story. Hey, listen, only thing I can tell you guys is that for those are in, for those of you who are in your teens and in your early 20s, this is a critical point in your life, a very pivotal point. This is, a lot of times you feel like, you got the rest of your life ahead of you. There's time. That's the mistake a lot of young people make is, oh, I got time to do that. You procrastinate. Um, and so you spend a lot of young people, not all, but a lot, spend their 20s um, just living the fast life. Um, I'm out of my parents' house possibly. I'm on this college campus. I'm doing me. I have my own car. I have my own little apartment. Or, you may still be at home, but I'm over 21. I'm over 18, and you experiencing freedom on a new level. And you have your debit card. You're swiping it. Your account's overdrawn. You're borrowing money. Um, you're asking people for gas money. I mean, and it doesn't have to be that way. It's not always what you make. It's really what you spend. And sometimes, people think, well, the answer is just to be rich or just to make more money. But, if you don't know what to do with $20, you're not going to know what to do with 20 million. You have to have an understanding of how money works. And it's not just to be spent on frivolous things. Money is truly a tool. And when you understand that and you understand how it works, then you can start to think different. You'll understand that, some of your friends may change, some of your surroundings may change because you're going to be around people who are going where you want them, where you want to eventually go. And that's another thing. That's a whole nother conversation, but I'll just plug that real quick. Take a look at the five people that you're the closest with, and if you know in your heart of hearts that you don't think that they're going to be successful because they're not doing anything but just having fun, doing the same stuff y'all did in high school and middle school, and they're not talking about the future, they're not having these type of conversations. Maybe you told them about this call and they said, man, I won't be on that. So think about that. Think about your future. Think about where you want to be in 5 and 10 years when you're 30. Where do you want to be? Do you want to trust me? There are people who are 30 and 40 years old who need the information that George is about to present. And George is a credit expert, and he's going to tell you guys um, a lot about credit, as well as when I bring on CQ Bank, they're going to and CQ is a credit union, I'm sorry. But CQ is going to talk to you and give you real life examples about things that people deal with. You do not want to be the person buying a car at 22 and 24% interest and thinking that it's normal. That's not what you want. You don't want the high interest everything in your life. Something my father told me years ago, he said, when I was a little kid, he said, it's expensive being poor. And I really didn't get it, and it really didn't make that much sense. And I don't even know if that's grammatically correct, but I get it now. It's expensive being poor. What he meant by that is when you have nothing, and as David said, the system is designed for you to have nothing. When you have nothing and there's everything you have is high interest rates, when you're just paying just enough so this bill doesn't get cut off, you're never paying things down. I'm just gonna put something on it. And when you start to live your life in that cycle, it gets to be, when you look at all of the late fees and the interest fees, you're paying significantly more to live than someone else who's making wise fiscal decisions. Um, and credit, I mean, we've talked about savings, we've talked about at being an investor and being an entrepreneur, but a lot of this stuff starts with your credit. I mean, it's going to be very difficult for you to save money if you don't have good credit, because that means you're paying more for the same thing that people that have good credit when they buy something. It's going to be hard for you to become an investor if you don't have good credit, because some of the investments that you're going to go into, whether you go into them alone or whether you go into them with partners, your partners are going to know that you're fiscally responsible, that you pay your bills. Why would I want to partner with someone that doesn't have good credit? And I do. That means that everything is going to fall on me. And so, even if you didn't have a desire to be an entrepreneur, you just wanted to have a high level career, guess what? Some high level careers now will run your credit. Whether you're in the banking industry, whether you're seeking a government job, they're going to look at your credit. The banks might say, hey, if you have bad credit, that might mean that you're more likely to fall behind on things, and that might prompt you to want to steal money from the bank. The government says the same thing. The high level government careers, they may say, hey, if you have bad credit, someone could approach you about selling government secrets or something that's going on here. So your credit, even if you didn't want to be an entrepreneur, you just wanted a high level job, they're going to look at your credit. So credit is really, really, really important. It's kind of like the thing that is in the hub of the wheel. If everything else was spokes, it starts with you having good credit, because that's going to speak for you even before you speak for yourself. Sometimes when people look at how you look on paper, they'll make an assessment of who you are as an individual and your integrity level by how you pay your debts, how responsible you are, whether bite off more than you can chew, by taking on things that that you can't handle. So I'm not going to step too far into George's lane. He is the credit expert with a huge credit repair and credit building business. So George, I will let you take it from here, sir. Thank you for being a part of this today.
I appreciate you having me, man. I really appreciate that. And the one thing to go back off of what David said, Yolanda and Adrian, is, being business owners and understanding the foundation of your credit. I mean, that's super, super important. I haven't, just like Yolanda, I haven't had a job since 2013. That's the last time I received a paycheck. And I'm 43 years old, and I retired my wife 4 years ago from her job, so she doesn't have to work. She helps me in all my different companies that I own. But the key foundational piece, same thing what Yolanda was saying, the key foundational piece is the credit part. If you want to have multiple businesses, if you want to have the option to either go into business out of high school or go to college, and you can go either way, okay? Either way is equally beneficial, but you just have to make sure you take advantage of it. But the credit is the most important part. And I remember when I was in college, man, I burned through some credit, man. I mean, they send you these offers when you get to college, and it's like, hey, you get $1,000 credit card. Man, I made so many 2:00 a.m. late Taco Bell runs, and before I know it, I looked at my credit card, it's all Taco Bell, Walmart. And I burnt the card up. I had no accountability. I had nobody saying, hey, are you paying this? I had no understanding what none of this stuff is. So what I'm going to give you guys today is I'm going to give you 3 foundational pieces. And if I had had those pieces when I was 15, or even in college at 21, 22, you know, if I had these pieces going into college at 18, I would have been a whole lot, you know, better. So the things I'm teaching you, I didn't learn until I was 35 years old, right? And that's kind of sad. So if you are 15 through 25 on this call, unmute yourself and say credit. I want to make sure everybody's awake before we get into this.
Credit.
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 Don't have your mama do it. I want you to do it. I see somebody with their mama in the background. I don't want you saying. I want you saying it, not your mama. All right, good. All right, go ahead and mute yourself now. So I'm gonna give you 3 foundational pieces, and this definitely will for sure help you. Okay, let me see if I'll get my screen going. Can y'all see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes.
All right. Can you see the slide, Adrian? All right, can we see my screen now?
Yeah, we can see it.
All right, good. So you see this right here, the secured, unsecured cards? All right, good. All right, so the first phase is starting your credit, right? So a lot of you guys are actually young, and what we want to go through the first part is starting your credit. If you are anywhere from 15 to about 19 years old, you don't have any credit at all, okay? Unless if you were like me and probably some other adults on here, your parents probably use you to kind of get the water cut on or the or the cable bill or whatever, but you should not have any credit, right? So if you do not have any credit and you're from 15 to 19 years old, you can get a card called a secure card. And there's a bank on here that is on the line right now, and they can definitely assist you with this. If you don't have any credit, you can get a secure card. A secure card is you take, it's secured by any of the amount of money that you put on the card. So say for instance, the minimum amount you need for a secure card is $200. That's how much you need to in order to get that secure card going. So you take $200, you go to a bank, they open up a secure card, okay? That secure card is now backed by the money that you deposited in to start that account, okay? So when you give them $200, they're going to give you a card that is worth $200. Okay, they're going to give you a credit limit of $200. Now what they're doing is they're testing you just to make sure that you can handle the spending. That's why it's secure, because you don't have any credit. So you want to use the secure card to establish credit. You give them $200, they give you a card. Now you go and put in your Netflix or your Hulu, your Spotify, or whatever you want to do, or go to the store or get a pack of bubble gum. You just put small amount of purchases on this card and then you pay on it each month, okay? So one of the most important parts is payment history. So when we're starting off, that's why you get a secure card and you want to use it and put bare minimum on it. What the internet teaches you is 30, whatever your limit is, you want to have a balance of 30%, okay? So that's about $60 on that. No, I'm sorry, that's, what is that? I'll say 30%. You want to be actually at 10%. So the internet says 30%, I say 10%, and 10% on that is $20. You want to have about $20 balance on that credit card. So at all times, keep a $20 balance on it at all times. That's the optimum amount of percentage where you want to be on that card to actually gain points. 30% of the limit will get you balance that get you anything, but 10% is that sweet spot that puts you right in the middle of showing the creditors, like a bank like we have online, that shows that bank that we can give you a limit, right? You could be responsible and not run it up. You can keep a small balance on it and you can pay on time. Okay, that's as simple as that. So you want to go to the bank, put $200 and get a secure card, keep a very small amount of balance on there, which is 10%, which is $20, and pay on that each month, and always keep a $20 balance on it at all times, okay? If you're 19 to 25, you probably already established some credit, so then you can go to the bank and apply for an unsecured credit card. An unsecured credit card is only backed by your credit history, and that's determined by your credit worthiness. And that's not backed by any money. That's just backed by your word pretty much in your credit file. Okay. So they will determine how much they give you. Okay. That's not determined by a dollar that you gave them. It's determined about your credit history. And typically when it's your first credit card, typically they'll give you about $500 limit on a credit card starting off. Okay. So these are two good ways to get started with your credit. Okay. All right, now everybody know what this is, right? Everybody know what this is. It's a Hellcat. Everybody wants the Hellcat. Everybody from 15 to 25, y'all want this Hellcat. And where people go wrong with this, right? There's nothing wrong with having a car, but where people go wrong, they think because they want it, they can get it. That's not necessarily true. So we're diving into building your credit file. You want to make sure you build up to something like this. Okay. And what banks want to see to determine if they want to give you a loan for a Hellcat, which is, I guess what, $50,000 to $75,000 car. What's going to determine if they give you a loan, an auto loan for this type of car, they want to see some sort of history. And that goes off what we talked about a few minutes ago, which is you got to have some starter credit, and then you have to build up to a car like this. So you just can't go to a bank and just say, hey, I want to get a Hellcat. You can't do it. First thing you want to do is get a small little Toyota Corolla, and you might have a loan for $3,000. Okay. You pay it on time. You want to pay that car off, or you want to trade it in, and then you move up to the next level car. Then you might want to get a Kia. You pay it on time. It's a little bit higher. It's probably like 15,000. You pay it on time, you pay it off, you sell it or whatever, and then you can move up. So it's a gradual process. And the reason why that's important before you try to go and try to get something like a Hellcat, I'm only using this for reference and purposes, is you have to build up to that point. If you try to go in and try to get the end goal first, you will always get denied. You have to build up with the small car, the medium-sized car, the larger car, till you get to wherever you're trying to go. And that's what credit is, okay? Credit is just like this example. If you're trying to get a bigger house, you start off with apartment, a smaller house, medium-sized, bigger house, till you get where you're trying to go. But every bank decision, okay, every bank decision is based off your history. So if you haven't demonstrated that you can handle these balances in these type of accounts, you will never get to where you're trying to go on the end, okay? So that's why that's important. So just stay patient, stay diligent. There's nothing wrong with having this as a ultimate goal. There's nothing wrong with having something tangible that you can set as an ultimate goal. But you always have to understand there's a process. And all the while you're trying to get to that goal, you have to build all the way up so you can show the banks that you're credit worthy, that you can handle these things that you're trying to get, okay? So that's super important. All right, I'll take you to the last part. So now we talked about starting your credit file. We talked about building your credit file, how to build it up. And we're going to talk about probably one of the most important parts besides payment history is utilization, okay? This is how you maintain your credit, okay? This is super, super important. So I'm gonna give you this prime example right here, okay? If you're on your cell phones and you can't see it, just pinch your screen and you can zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. And even, I encourage you to take a snapshot of this as well. So here's an example. So if I'm the bank and I gave you guys $1,000 credit card, right? So I just came in and say, here's $1,000 credit card for you, okay? Now, me, when I was in college, you gave, like I said before, you give me $1,000 credit card, Taco Bell and Walmart is my friend. And it lasted a month and that credit card was gone, okay? But now you guys having this kind of information, which is considered financial literacy, when you understand these things, you won't make these mistakes of, people like me, your elders, your mentors, your parents. You won't make the mistakes that we all made, okay? So if I give you $1,000 credit card that has $1,000 limit, what that's telling you is you can go buy whatever you want, okay, on paper, okay, up to $1,000. But that's not where you want to be, okay? So you can look right here in my example. If you have $1,000 credit limit and your balance is $1,000, you're maxed out, okay? That could affect your score 125 points, okay? That can make your score stay in that negative and keep your score at a throttle position where you are being penalized 125 points from being maxed out for that one card. You can have a whole bunch of other positive cards, pay on time, things like that, but you got that one card and it's maxed out, that's your credit worthiness. That's your credit file. That's your credit history. Okay. That's what makes the banks make decisions. If you can't handle, same thing Adrian is saying, if you can't handle $20, a $20 payment, how you going to handle a $20 million payment, a $20 million loan? You can't handle it. So these are the base things that they judge you on. So if this person had $1,000 balance and $1,000 limit, he's maxed out. That's 125 points. Okay. If he had a $900 balance, that'll cost him 100 points. This will be 90%. So if you go all the way down here to 50% of what this credit limit is, 50% of the $1,000 credit limit is $500. Okay. At 50%, this person is now costing him 50 points. Okay. So going back what I said in the beginning, what the internet teaches you is 30%. So 30% of this 1,000 is $300, right? So you'll get some points. Okay. This is the information that you'll find on the internet, but that sweet spot is that 10%, what we talked about before. 10% is that sweet spot of that $1,000. You're at $100. Now that's where you're going to get the most amount of points. Okay. If you don't have any balance, then that could affect your score. Okay. So people ask me all the time, it's like $1,000. Okay. How do I handle that? I'm just going to not have a balance on it because that's what my mom told me to do. Okay. That's not right. Okay. You have to pay to play the game. Okay. It's all a game. That's the way we treat it in our office. We call it the credit game, and the credit is a game. Everybody wants to make money. You want to benefit, the creditors want to benefit, and the credit bureaus want to benefit. Well, the creditors doesn't benefit, the banks doesn't benefit, the credit bureaus don't benefit if you don't charge anything. Okay. Banks can't make money if you don't utilize what they've given you. They make money off of interest. Good, bad, or indifferent. If you don't charge anything, you don't owe them anything, how can it make money off of you? Okay. So if you have a bunch of credit cards that have zero balances, what's going to make the next lender want to give you money? Okay. They're not going to be motivated to give you money because you don't even use what you have. So that's going to tell me, if I give you money, you're not going to utilize it. So I can't make money off of you. Okay. It's not wrong for the banks to make money off of you. You just have to understand. Okay. And if you don't have any balances, then they can't report that history to the credit bureaus. The credit bureaus make money from the creditors, the banks. They make money based on the way they report. Okay, so it's all a game. You can benefit, the banks can benefit, and the credit bureaus can benefit if you learn how to use your utilization. Okay, so utilization is your limits in comparisons to your balance. Okay, you might want to write that down, take a picture, put a t-shirt, but it's your limits compared to your balances. Okay, where you want to be is 10% of your overall limits on credit cards. Okay, credit cards are considered revolving credit because it continuously revolves. Okay, evolves. Okay, car loan, house loan, or personal loan is called an installment. Okay, they'll give you a certain amount of money and you pay it back on installment payments. Okay, the balances goes down, but it can never go back up, and they can't change the credit limits. That's an installment account. Revolving accounts are credit cards, things that can continuously change. Okay, so utilization on your credit cards are major, major, major things. If you learn these three factors, if you learn how to start with your credit, okay, build your credit up over time, okay, keep low balances, which is considered your utilization, okay, keep your utilization down to 10%, you will win. And when I say win, you will absolutely win. Okay, you will absolutely win. I'm gonna give you one hack and then I'll be done. If you have any family member, if you have a parent that has good credit and they have a credit card, they can add you as an authorized user to their credit card. Okay, if they add you as an authorized user to the credit card, you will now be able to transport their payment history onto your credit, which therefore helps increase your credit. Okay, so but you want to make sure that you have a family member that has a credit card that has low utilization. Okay, if that family member is actively using that credit card to live, to pay bills, to get gas, you don't want to be added to it. Okay, because just as well as you take the positive history from that card, you can now take the negative history from that card. Okay, so get with a family member. If they have a credit card, you can be added as an authorized user to that credit card. Just ask them, say, hey, mom, uncle, aunt, can you add me to your credit card? you don't even have to get a credit card. They can keep it. You just want to piggyback off their history so it can help establish your history. Okay. So that's one good hack that can boost your score just right away. Okay. So that's all I have for right now. I hope we all have that. And if you understand these 3 principles, I promise you guys will be on your way. You won't make the mistakes that we made. All right. That's all I got, Adrian.
Thanks so much, George. That was great. And listen, everybody, if you want to get in contact with George, put your contact information in the chat, because I know there's some parents. Hey, listen, we got to get away from just being embarrassed about this conversation. That's what we're all here for, so we can build and grow together. So for those who have not established their credit yet, those were some incredible tools to help you build. If you have started building your credit and you kind of steered it in the wrong direction, then you now have the information to steer it in the right direction. If there are parents or someone that you know that could use George's expertise, he was so kind to come on and share today. He works with people to help them, fix their credit for good. It's not just, I want to, you hear people saying, I want to fix my credit so I can get a house, so I can get a car. And then you go right back to the point. It's about changing your mind about how you view money and credit. And so you can live a successful life.
Hey, Adrian, can I answer that question from Aaliyah?
Sure.
So Aaliyah asked the question, can I have a secure card and be an authorized user at the same time? The answer is yes. Secure card is what you would go get on your own. Okay, you can go get the secure card from your local bank or whatever, the bank that's online right now. You can go get the secure card, and you can also be added as an authorized user from a family member or a friend or somebody that you know, like, and trust. So yes, you can do them at the same time. And to be honest, if you can do that, then I would do that, because that's going to help increase your score at a more rapid pace. Okay, so now you're having 2 different trade lines on your account. Trade lines are no more than accounts. Now you got 2 different accounts reporting your credit, and now it'll get you to your credit scores, to your credit goal, like, pretty quick. So I hope that answered the question. The other one.
Yes, thank you. Sorry.
Okay, you have any more questions?
No.
Okay, the last question is, what is the youngest age you can get a secure card for a teen? We do have a bank on here. I don't want to misspeak on that, so I prefer for them to tell you on that. And that was from Vitova. So I prefer for the bank to answer that question on that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Listen, that was a wealth of information. When you do fix your credit or build your credit profile, it's also important to, remember what I was talking about and also what George was talking about, working your way up to getting the Hellcat or whatever you want. It's important to have a balance. You do not want a $75,000 car and you live in an $800 apartment and it's just parked out. Like, you have to have a balance in everything. I give you another quote that my grandfather told me once, and this is when I was in my youth. Like George said, when I was in my youth, that was me. I was the guy with the $40,000 car living in an apartment, and my grandfather told me, "Oh, you got stoplight status." And I said, "What?" He said, "Oh, you only look good at the stoplight. When you're at the light next to somebody else that doesn't have that car, you look great. You look like you got it going on. But when they go home and they pull up to their detached single family house in their Camry, and you go to your apartment in your expensive car," he said, you want balance. So that's just something to think about. I'm going to, and if anyone else has questions, they can put them in the chat feature and we'll get to them, or we'll have a brief Q&A at the end. I'm going to turn it over now to Kukara from CQ Credit Union. Thank you so much for being a part. Please unmute yourself and you can give your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. Can you hear me okay? Awesome. Well, Well, I do want to say thank you for inviting me here. My name is Kakira. I'm a Assistant Financial Center Manager for Baltimore City. I'm representing CQ Credit Union, just to kind of give you guys some more information to just add. I hope everyone was taking notes, because this was some really good information that would definitely help you. So I'm actually one of the people that you would come see once you're ready to kind of start your business. You're ready to get started with getting your first account open, and you're ready to start getting your credit built. To get started and kind of piggyback off what George had mentioned, he talked about, the importance of building your credit, and Adrian talked about the importance of building your credit, and Yolanda, she talked about the importance of, when you want to start saving for your business and kind of getting started with that. So I'm the person you come to for all of those things. I want to start by talking about, as far as like your initially getting started saving. So building your emergency savings is one of them things where you definitely want to start at. Before relying on credit and using your credit card, overusing it, if you have that emergency savings that you built and you started, you won't rely so heavily on your credit usage. So before you even get to the point of, I need to use my credit card for this, or I need to use it for that, you have a savings account that you can use in the case of an emergency. So that's definitely very, very important. The second thing I want to talk about is, as far as building your credit, George has mentioned having a secured card. So here at CQ, the credit union, we actually have a product specifically for students and for even young adults who may not be students in college, where you actually don't have to put any funds up. But as long as you don't have any credit, any negative history, any credit at all, you actually are eligible for, and you have income, you're eligible for the student visa as well as our starter visa. Those are two credit cards that the credit union kind of gives you to help you get started. But to speak back to what George said, it's very important to manage the utilization and keep it under 10%. When you're managing that, again, go back to your emergency savings. So you don't want to necessarily use your credit card just to, go buy fast food or buy, a game system or expensive tennis shoes. You want to really manage your spending. So if it's something that you want to save for, so it's a pair of expensive tennis shoes, not saying you can't have them, but make sure that's something you're saving for and you're using your savings and you're not going to spend and utilize your credit card. Sometimes what we see here at the credit union is a lot of young people, they come in and they're looking, to get a car loan, or they're looking to, maybe get like additional credit, and they're not able to because of the poor decisions they made when they were younger, or, not knowing. So just be sure that when you start when you get those credit cards, that you're not, missing a payment, you're not maxing out your credit limit. You're really thinking about, okay, I'm using this as a starter. I'm using this so I can build my credit for my business. I'm using this so I can build my credit to get a house. I'm using this so I can build my credit to purchase a nice car. So you want to kind of think futuristic, even when you're starting to, just get into your starter card. I do want to answer one of the questions that I think Korea Collins had mentioned in the chat. She asked about if you have a bank account, can you get a secured card? Yes. So your secured card is your credit card is different than your bank account. So your bank account is your account that you're going to use, for like your direct deposit from your job, or your account that you're using to put your savings in. And then your credit card is a little bit different, because that's what creditors are looking at. So you have a separate card that you're managing for utilization. And then another question that someone asked, they asked about what's the youngest you can be to get a secured card. You have to be at least 18 to kind of start building any type of credit. However, George had mentioned being added on as an authorized user. So if you are being added on as an authorized user, I believe some places allow you at 16 to be added on as authorized user. I actually have a 16-year-old daughter as well, and I just added her as authorized user on one of my cards. So if you have a parent, like George said, or someone in your family that's willing to do that, Definitely in the bank, we've seen that help as far as like history and kind of already having a credit score when you're ready to start borrowing or getting some type of lending. The last thing I want to talk about, I know Yolanda, she was very big on, and Adrian's very big on, becoming an entrepreneur. We open business accounts here at the credit union as well. And one of the things that we're constantly asked about is, how do I build my business credit? How do I do this? And a lot of times, especially when you're first starting off, they'll look at your personal credit history when it comes to, building that business credit. So your personal history is not only important for, when you're buying, your car, when you're buying your house, when you're, you're looking for jobs, but it's also important when you're looking to become an entrepreneur because it's helping you to prepare you for that. And like Adrian spoke about with your partners, no one wants to, be a partner with you if you can't pay your bills. And we've seen that several times where, some relationships are turned upside down for people, not paying their bills on time and the other person is being held accountable for it. So it's just very important, to manage your finances, build your credit in a positive way. Don't overuse it, as well as just making sure you're aware of, everything that banks have to offer in credit unions. So just one thing I'll leave you with is just talking about, the difference of, where you want to put your money. So if you want to put your money somewhere, you want to look also where are you going to earn the most for your money. So you want to look at interest rates. How much are they charging you to sit your money in an account? Are they are they charging you? Are you earning interest on it? So you want to look at those things as well when you're building your savings. So you typically want to look at CD rates. You want to look at savings interest rates as well. So with that being said, I'll turn it back over to Adrian. And if anyone has questions, I believe we'll get started with that when you're ready.
Thank you so much. That was some great information. Right now, Isaac, are you still on the call, Isaac?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. So I'm gonna have just a quick, real quick. I'm gonna have Isaac, and then right after Isaac, Jayla, you can unmute yourself. When we did the in-person class the last time, Isaac was a part of that. Isaac, you can just take a couple minutes, just 2 minutes, and just share your experience with the last class and where you are now and your age and all that stuff, what you're doing.
Yeah, so I'm Isaac Johnson. I'm 21, and yeah, the last class that we had was great. At the end of that class, I signed up with CQ as well and got a secure card, the credit card, and that boosted and helped me build my credit tremendously. Listening to everything that they said about, excuse me, the usage of the credit card, what you want to spend on it, what the balance you want to keep on that, and following those guidelines and those steps helped me a lot, boosting my credit and being able to have a credit history. As to now, I've been able to purchase multiple cars. I've been able to basically anything that I want or ever apply for. It hasn't been any problem based on the steps in credit that I've learned, from the last class and the opportunities that came from that.
Thank you, Isaac. I'll just add because I know that, he's 21, but like at 20, where most kids are like looking for a cosigner either because they've already ruined their credit or they have no credit because of the last class. Isaac's been able to purchase a car, and he used the steps not just to be able to qualify for the car, but even to purchase a car that he felt comfortable with the payment and the price. Because when you do have good credit, it allows you to kind of stretch your money. So if you're not thinking fiscally responsible, you can say, well, I'll go for this $30,000 car because my credit says I can have it. But if he's looking at his account and his income, he knows that might not be the smart play for right now. So it wasn't just about having the credit, but it was about using it correctly. So thank you, Isaac, for your testimony. Jayla, real quick, 2 minutes.
Hi everyone, I'm Jayla, Adrian's daughter. I'm also 21. I think for me, the best way that I've learned to build my credit over time was to spend money that I knew that I had already in my debit account. Just to, if I go to the grocery store or if I am going to, do small things, then I'll use my credit card and then pay that off. So I've learned that I've been able to grow my credit. And then also, um, once you get credit cards, they mail it in, like George said, like you get all these letters like, hey, give my credit card, give my credit card. That is a good thing because they're like, hey, we want you to spend our money, right? And then once you learn to spend the money responsibly, they'll be able to raise your credit limit so that the 10% from 1,000, which is only 100, could be raised to a 10% of 2,000, which is 200. So I just got that email the other day. I was talking to my dad, like, hey, I got my credit limit raised. So, this stuff, it really works. It's not just for um, our parents. I know a lot of people are under like 25. It's not just for our parents. Like we are getting to the age where we're going to want to start buying cars like Isaac, getting anything that we want. Is not going to always fall on our parents to get those things. Obviously, our parents are here to help us. And all the people here, Adrian, George, Kikera, everybody else, that everybody's here to help you and me too. But we need to start taking these steps ourselves, if not taking the steps, learning which steps we need to take to better ourselves for the future. Because like my dad said, we always say we have enough time, but I graduated high school 4 years ago and I'm like, I cannot believe it. So like, it's going to keep going. Time is not going to stop for you. The bank is not going to say, oh, you seem like a good person, we'll give you $50,000. No, you need to start making steps and actually applying what you learn here and bettering yourself for the future. So yeah.
Thank you, Jayla. Thank you. I appreciate it. That was great. Um, I'm proud of Jayla and Isaac, and I'm proud of all of you guys just for being a part of this today. And like I said, it's never too late. Regardless if you haven't started yet or if you've started and you've gone down the wrong path, we can correct all of that moving forward. Now, Kukira can give you more information from CQ, but like Isaac said, this is what we did last time. Um, for those 18 and older, like she said, if you do not have any negative credit, then through this, we're going to give each of you 18 and older $1,000 through CQ. CQ is going to do that. It's going to be a $500 line of credit and a $500 starter credit card. Okay. Now, in order to qualify for that, you need to be a member of CQ Credit Union. So what's going to happen is we're going to have to, you can either schedule to go into one of the branches. Now you can go into any CQ branch, but since this is my course, I live in Ellicott City, so I frequent the Ellicott City and the Columbia branches. And so I would say go into the CQ branch, or we can actually email you the information to get your account started. And then once your account is started, then you'll be issued the starter credit card and a starter line of credit. Now, I'm gonna turn it back over to Kukira in a second so she can give you more details about how all of that works. But I didn't want, when we were promoting this Zoom, I didn't want to promote the $1,000 because I did not want anyone to sign up just for this out of the middle of their Saturday just to get the $1,000. I wanted you guys to want the information more than the money, because if you have the information, you'll get the money. And as Jayla was saying, to piggyback on what Jayla was saying, an old adage is, you give a man a fish, you feed him for now. But if you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. What we're trying to do is we're trying to teach you guys to fish. We're trying to teach you guys these tools so that you'll be successful for the foreseeable future. So you'll change your life. And one day when your parents will have you, then you know, your kids will grow up knowing some of these things that, as George said, he didn't learn them till he was 35. And I was probably about 35 when I learned some of this stuff too. So you know, I don't want that for you guys. I don't want that just for my cousin Isaac and my daughter Jayla. I want it for all of you. So Kukira, if you could give them a little bit more details on how they can get their $1,000 and get started.
Yes. So to get started, we're going to give our contact information. So I have our assistant manager for the Columbia location in Ellicott City. She's on here as well by phone. So we're going to send you our email so that once you're ready to get started, we'll set up appointments for you. And it can be virtually over the phone or in person. So we'll give you the information, set up a time for you to come in where we can talk a little bit more about like our student account and getting started with the credit card and the line of credit. So I'm gonna drop both of our emails in the chat box so that if you would like to get started and get more information, you can email either one of us and we can get you set up with a virtual appointment or in person.
Thank you. So we have a few brief moments for Q&A. If you want to put a question in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself, if you have any questions for David, Yolanda, George, or Kukira, or even myself, feel free to ask those now.
Hey, Adrian, what they can do is hit the raise their hand button, and then they can you can raise your hand. Just hit the raise your hand button on inside of Zoom, or just post it inside of the Zoom chat and who is addressed to.
Thank you. Go right ahead, Yolanda.
Okay, I want to mention one last thing before you all started the Q&A. Something I forgot to mention to you all, I think is important also for everybody to remember. It's been great information about the credit and the cards and the bank account and everything. It's been fantastic. You all should definitely use it. One last thing that I want to leave you all with is about online social media presence, okay? If you all are planning to start a business, be an entrepreneur, work for yourself, or even work for another big business, or you want mentors and all of that, you have to watch your online activity, okay? You might think that's personal. It has nothing to do with business. It has nothing to do with your credit. It has nothing to do with your future. But your online presence, your online footprint, as they say, is really a roadmap to who you are. So many people consider that. So I want to leave that with you all. Make sure you're not on social media arguing with your boyfriend, talking bad about your baby mama or your baby father. You're not complaining. You're not fighting online. None of that. You're not even commenting on all those ratchet videos. Those things are important because when partners looking you up, they find it. When people are looking to invest in you, they find it. And so don't be one of those people that post those things for yourself, but don't be one of those people posting against other people. Don't create a footprint against other people or laying a footprint for yourself. You want to make sure that as you're trying to grow your business, as you're trying to get your credit right, get your money right, get your businesses started, everything needs to line up with that. So your social media needs to line up with that. Your personal life needs to line up. Your credit needs to line up. Everything across the board. That is being 100% laser focused on your future. That is so important because the world now sees who you are. Everything is online. Everything is on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, wherever. So make sure that you're cognizant of that. As you're watching your money, also watch your posts, watch your comments, watch who you are liking and who you are friending on your pages. So I know that has nothing to do with the last speakers who talked, but it's been eating at me to make sure that I mention that because I forgot to tell you all that. I know personally, firsthand, how social media can devastate your life. So make sure you don't do that for yourself or you do it to anybody else. Okay, so I just wanted to leave the group with that word of advice.
And that's good stuff. That's good stuff because your credit profile speaks to your character and your integrity to people who don't know you. They're looking at how you are on paper. And so social media is kind of an extension of that. It gives a glimpse of who you are by the things you like, things you comment on, and things you post. So yeah, I appreciate that. That needed to be said. If I don't see any hands raised, if anybody could raise their hand in the chat or post any questions, if you have any questions. While we're waiting on that, I will say that we just started a Facebook group for this event, and we want to grow that group, and we want to get feedback from you guys about the information that you got today. And we're going to have, like I said, breakout individual sessions. This was just kind of like an introductory overview, and we started with credit because it's so intricate. But for those who are seeking high-level careers, you know, we have HR people connected to us that can talk to you about how you can go about those things. For those who are seeking entrepreneurs, I'm connected with a ton of those, and I'm an entrepreneur myself. Like I said, we have people who are CPAs and tax consultants that, you know, whatever career path or whatever you would need to be a successful business person or entrepreneur or just fiscally responsible person, I want to put these people in front of you guys. And I don't want this to be kind of like a one and done. Like I said, we're going to do the annual overhaul introductory thing, but then we can also have a breakout sessions where we have targets that we hit. Okay, I see Kyle has a question. Go ahead, Kyle.
All right. I want to say thank you again. I call him Uncle Adrian. Uncle Adrian for setting this up for us. I learned a lot of new information, and definitely got a new perspective on how to start a business, what it looks like moving forward, using credit to your advantage. One question I had was more for, I think it was more in the lanes of both you and Miss Yolanda, and that was entrepreneurship. And in wanting to be an entrepreneur and wanting to start my own business, how would that look as far as, it's a competitive market right now, I think, for everybody who wants to be an entrepreneur, especially when COVID hit. You had a lot of people saying, you know what, I'm gonna start doing this for myself. I've been talking about, you know, starting up a business, and now I got all this time on my hands because COVID hit. You got a lot of people jumping out trying to start their own business. What do you think would be an advantage point for, you know, starting your own business? Because a lot of people right now are starting their own business, and I feel like so everybody's talking about being an entrepreneur. Everybody's talking about, oh, I own my own business and I'm the CEO of this, and everybody's kind of got that in their bio on Instagram and Twitter. What would you say would be the thing that would set us apart, or in my case, set me apart as wanting to be an entrepreneur and you know, being successful in that?
Okay, I'll tackle that first. Kyle, I'll tell you that you should know the difference between a hobby and a real business. There's a lot of people who try to convert things that they are either good at or they enjoy doing into businesses. They may even go as far as to get it registered and get their own LLC and EIN, and they say, I'm a business owner. But what good is that if it's not goods and services that you can sell to the general public? You know, some things really should be just a hobby, something that you do for your enjoyment. Just because you're good at it does not mean that can transfer into being a business. It doesn't mean that it can't, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it can. Like you say, you call me Uncle Adrian, so we can have a candid conversation. I know who you are. I know what you believe. And so I'll give you a biblical reference where it says, write the vision and make it plain. Okay. So, whatever you're planning to do, man, think these things out. All of the businesses that I created, they started up here first. Yeah, and so whatever you're inspired by, whatever it is you want to do, write that stuff down, outline it, storyboard it, whiteboard it, and take a look at it. And you can always come to me, either through this platform or another, and we can bounce ideas off of one another. I'll also say that when you're doing, your credit, fixing your credit and doing all this kind of stuff, and you're writing a vision and you're seeing that, whatever you want to sell is something that the market wants, that you, just like Yolanda said, you make sure that you maintain, a good image online, because ultimately, whether you're a regular salesperson or a CEO, people purchase things from people who they like. Eventually, you will grow your business to the point where it's beyond you. But most small businesses start out where people are buying you, and you need to know your product better than anyone else. You need to be able to articulate it, sell it, and just understand the market. Some of the books that I gave you to read, and I can give you some others. Educate yourself, find a mentor. If you can't find a live mentor, find someone who may have already done the things that you want to do, you have a desire to do, and read about their life. One of the reasons why reading was a big thing for me is because being an entrepreneur is one of the most difficult things that anyone can do. People sometimes think that it's easy. And I always say, if it was easy, everyone would do it. There's many times that, you're going to want to, in your own flesh and in your own mind, you're going to want to give up. You're going to say that it's difficult. But sometimes when you read about successful people who, these people have become household names because they've already persevered through all of those times. And now you know who Steve Jobs is. Now you know who all of these people are. But until you know the backstory of all of the hurdles they had to jump over and how they kept going, like, you're not a failure if things don't work out every time. It's only when you quit. So I would just tell you not to quit. And don't be so impressed about what people post on. This is the last thing I'll say. Don't be so impressed about what people post on social media. I was just talking to my wife this week about my generation, our generation versus, you guys' generation, and how much y'all put into social media and how y'all put everything out there. And a lot of people just stunt for social media, and it's not real. And so, if you want to meet 10 CEOs at one time, go to Starbucks. That's why I tell you, go to Starbucks, go to Panera Bread. Everybody in there on their laptop is a CEO. They'll hand you a card and tell you the CEO of something. So don't be so impressed with what anyone else is doing to the right or the left. Stay laser focused on what you want to do. Write it out, and find a mentor, read, educate yourself, and then just get started, man. And you'll learn a lot along the way. And as always, I'm always here if you need anything. Yolanda, did you have anything to add? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll add something. My take on it is a little different than what a lot of people would think. What I would suggest is, I think your name was Kyle Thomas, if I remember. I would suggest, Kyle, that you start a business with, you can start a very generic business. If your name is Kyle Thomas, you can say KT Consultant, KT Services, something very generic like that. It doesn't say what you do, but you can start a business with that title. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I do have a parent company, which is my name. I have a parent company, and my parent company now owns multiple businesses up under my parent company. So I always have my initials are YCS. I always have the YCS Inc. That's my business. It doesn't say what I do. It does not identify the other businesses up under there. But once you determine what it is that you want to do, let's say one day you want to open up, let's just say a barbershop. So you have KT Cuts. You might want to be a mechanic, KT Mechanic Shop. anything that you want to do, you can then go off of your name, but you start in your business. And the reason why I'm saying that is because something that's very important as an entrepreneur is your formation date. You have to be 2 years or older in business to really be taken seriously. They want a business that's been in business for at least 2 years. That's for your credit lines, that's for loans, that's for even some business locations you might want to rent. They want to see 2 years financials, they want to see 2 years credit. And they want to see that your corporate doc said that you've been in business at least 2 years. But if you start, let's say KT Consultant, which doesn't say what it is, or KT Services, it's a business that started in 2021, and you can ride that out for years. I've had YCS for 15 years, but you wouldn't know that YCS has 12 companies up under it because each company has a different name and each company has a different formation date. I've only been driving and running trucks for now 3 years, but YCS has been around for multiple years. So that has a stronger formation date. My trucking company is less. I've been flipping houses since I was 17 years old. So over 25 years, I've been flipping properties, but that's in a whole different name. So you have to, that's my suggestion as a business owner. It doesn't have to just be one. You don't have to just be, let's say somebody's a hairdresser. They don't just have to be a hairdresser. They can be KT Professional Services. And another thing that's so important about that, when you start applying for business credit, the business credit, they look at the name, and there are certain names that are automatically flagged for denials or for low approval rates. And surprisingly, one of those names is anything related to real estate, anything that says housing, anything that has to do with mortgages. For whatever reason, they're red flagged. I don't know what it is.
Credit as well.
Oh, credit as well. It's not every single lender, but more than not. And that's like a red flag. So you don't want to say KT Housing or KT Real Estate or anything remotely close to it. But if it says KT Professional Services, you can flip houses with that. You can buy houses with that. You can do anything. So that's my word of advice to everybody. Start a generic business that's your parent company, and then everything else fits under there. So yeah, you will have multiple companies, you will have multiple tax returns you have to file, you will have multiple bank accounts, all of that. But that does help you in the long run. So
that was rich.
You don't have to know exactly what you want to do today, but you know that KT Services will always be around. And as you learn and you go, you change the businesses that are there. Sometimes you might sell them, sometimes you might close them, sometimes you might not even start them. But KT Services is always there. So you've been in business since 2021. And that's what you can say.
Thank you, Yolanda. That was great. That was great. That was a wealth of information. And I know Kyle, he's a note taker. So Jayla, you had your hand raised.
Yes, my question is for George. Can you explain what good credit looks like? Because we always say good credit, bad credit, but can you put numbers and like really explain what that looks like?
Yeah, it's different tiers, right? So to have excellent credit, that's the top tier. That's pretty much you can get anything you want. You can just pretty much sign your name. They don't verify your income. They don't verify any of that. That's when you get to about that 750 range. And that's when you have excellent credit. When you have good credit, that's when you're 680 and above is when you have good credit. Excellent credit is 750 and above. So anywhere from 680 to about 720 is good credit. Great credit is over 720 to about 750, and excellent credit is 750 all the way past 800. So, but to have like super A1 credit is an 800 credit score, which I have a 787, and at one point I had a 410 credit score. So so in order to get that takes time, and it takes building up your credit. Building up your credit means adding accounts to your credit, opening accounts, paying them off, paying them on time, low balances, going back to the things that we talked about. And if you're already on the right track, because when you're getting emails and you're getting mail talking about credit limit increase, that means you're being a good steward of your money, you know, and I think that's something that David spoke about as well. You're being a good steward of your money. And if you're a good steward of your money, even for yourself, then banks recognize that and you get automatically credit limit increases. So yeah, you should be excited about that. So that right there tells me that your credit is on the right path. The bad part about that is you don't know your credit. And what I mean by that is you should have a credit, a 3-bureau monitoring program. You can go through Experian and they will monitor all 3 of your credit bureaus and they'll give you alerts. Anytime something hits your credit negatively or something positive hits your credit, they will tell you. So you should always know your credit before the banks do, before the car dealerships, before the mortgage companies. You should know your credit. And when you start utilizing your credit like that and using it as a tool of like every time something happens to your credit and you check your phone and you're like, oh, I remember that account hitting. Oh, wow, they just increased my credit. You should know first before anyone else. And that's normally 20 bucks. You go to Experian.com, get the 3-bureau monitoring. They'll give you a brand new credit report every single month, every 30 days. And they will let you know if anybody checks your credit, if anything negative happens, anything positive happens, if your balances increases, if your balances decreases, you will know. You will know before it's time to go to the bank. If you're trying to get that car that you're trying to get before you go to the bank, check your credit. So that way you don't waste someone checking your credit, which can negatively impact your credit score. Know your credit first, because you could say, hey, my credit is a 620. I'm probably gonna have to put some money down to get this car. Let me wait and get my credit back up before you go to the bank. You know, just because you have a relationship with Q at the bank, she only can do certain things within her guidelines. You know, she's not the tooth fairy, right? Just because she likes you as a person, if you don't fit within those guidelines, she can't give you the loan no matter how much she likes you.
Great information. Great information. We have a hand, Erica Outlaw.
Yes, hi. I just wanted to clarify one of the statements that was made about the secured card. I think that the lady at CQ said you had to be 18, but then initially I thought George told the kids to write down 15 to 19. You could get a secured card in their name. So can we clarify that?
Go ahead, you can do it.
I can clarify. George, did you want me to clarify or?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Yep. So you so in order to get a secured card like in their own name, they have to be at least 18 years old. But to be added as an authorized user, I believe the limit is 16. So they can be added on to like their parents or family members' credit card as an authorized user when they're under 18. But in order to actually have like a secured card or a regular credit card in their name, they must be at least 18 years old. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. David, you had your hand raised?
I just wanted to say one thing. As Yolanda was speaking, she said something that I think was really important. And because she said it in the vein of discussing entrepreneurship, I think that maybe some of the other people who may not be interested in being an entrepreneur may have missed it. She talked about the importance of getting your business started, that establishment date. What that is centered around for me is the concept of now. A lot of times, young people, one of your greatest strengths is your youth. But one of the greatest things to be careful of is the illusion that you have a lot of time. You really don't. Time moves so quickly. You think that, oh, I'll get to that. I'll deal with that some other time. I'll get through it later. I'm only 19. I can play around and have fun right now. But as everyone on here who has passed, say, the age of 30, we can testify to you that time moves so quickly. Things that you thought that you had a lot of time for, before you know it, they're right in your face. And then before you know it, they're in your rearview mirror. So when it comes to jumping on your credit, when it comes to building business ideas, get started now. Let your youth be your strength. What it really means is you have time to fail, but time to get back up and regroup. So as you're working through these things, a lot of us right now, we're even seeing what's been hot in the news, George Floyd, the George Floyd trial and so forth. And what do we see? We see how when someone gets in trouble, they start bringing up what you did in kindergarten, that you got detention when you were in the 3rd or the 4th grade, how your history follows you, even the smallest things. But you have an opportunity now. There's a scripture in Proverbs 22, verse 1 that says that a good name is better to be chosen than great riches, and favor is better than silver or gold. That's credit. That's the concept of credit. You don't have to necessarily see the words, but the Bible's talking about these things, and you have the opportunity. But get started now. Don't put this off later. Well, I'm not even thinking about buying a house. I'll get that when I'm in my 30s. But if you build bad habits, they're harder to break. If you build bad history, it's more you have to overcome. So just get that in your mind now. If you want to get that business started, get that establishment date now. If you're trying to get your credit work done, start working on it now. If you're 15, 16, get the ground running now, so that when you're ready to make moves, you'll have momentum behind you and there'll be nothing that can stop you. So that's all I wanted to say.
Adrian, I think there's a question for me in there. There was two questions. One question is it was from Kyle KT saying, is Credit Karma good? And to answer Credit Karma, you hear multiple different opinions on Credit Karma, but Credit Karma is mainly good for helping you with updates. It's free. It gives you updates if anything happens to your credit, what I was just telling you about. It's good and bad. A lot of people base their decision on how well their credit is based on Credit Karma, and that's not what you want to use Credit Karma for. You just want to use Credit Karma to tell you anything, if anything's happened to your credit. Credit Karma only gives you access to 2 credit bureaus. They only give you access to Equifax and TransUnion only. They don't give you access to Experian. And the information they give you is very limited because it is free. Okay, so what you want to use is a good source. I'll put it inside the chat, is Experian.com. And they will allow you to monitor all 3 of your credit bureaus. They charge you $24 a month. You can cancel at any time, but they'll give you the FICO score, that's the score that the banks use to determine if you're going to get a loan or not. That's what they use as FICO. Credit Karma uses a score called Vantage Score. Vantage Score is different than FICO. Okay, that's all. So your Vantage Score on side of Credit Karma might say 700, but then Q might pull your credit at the bank and it might say 595, right? So it's not that her bank is right and Credit Karma is wrong. It's just 2 different places where they pull credit from. It's 2 different scoring models which have different algorithms to determine your score. That's all. So don't believe people will say Credit Karma is bad or Credit Karma is good. It's just a different scoring model than what banks use. Banks use FICO 8, now is going to FICO 10. But if you go to that link inside of that side of the chat, they'll take you right to Experian's website, and you want to get that Credit Works program. It's like $24, and it tells you every single thing that you'll get with it. It's really good, really good. It's a good investment. And the next one is from Jordan. It's like, what's the highest credit score you can get? You can get up 850. I've had clients that get, low 800s, but 850 is about the highest you can go, which is really rare. That's typically a person that's elderly, who's had credit history for 30, 40 years. Everything is low balances. Things are, they've had accounts for 40 years. Those are the people who tend to have that. Anybody who's actively using credit like me, I would never have an 800 credit score because I use my credit for leverage. I live off my credit. I don't use cash. I don't use debit cards. I don't do any of that. I use credit, but I also pay my credit off. I have over $230,000 in available credit limit. I think I left my credit cards at home, but I have 23 credit cards, over $230,000 of available credit limit that I can buy anything I want. And I probably only owe about a total of about maybe $10,000 between those cards because I don't use those cards to live. I use it for leverage. I buy my properties off of that. I do everything I want to do off of credit. Even if I go to a gas station and buy a pack of gum, I'm using the credit card because I'm gonna get points off of using that, right? Don't use cash, use credit.
Thank you, George. I was gonna mention, I'm glad you said that, because that's something I wanted to mention earlier, is that, we've all, I'm sure everyone has gotten a call probably since we've been on this Zoom that your car extended warranty is about to expire. It's always somebody that's trying to scam you. That's just what I'm saying. With these scams, you want to be careful what information you're putting on the internet. Everyone has probably Amazon Prime or has purchased something off of the internet at some point. You want to be using a credit card because credit cards, you can dispute things. They will put the money back on your card right immediately. You do not want to be putting your debit card on anything on the internet. So, for the most part, you want to use your credit cards to make purchases. Like I train Jayla to do. Like she said, she goes to the grocery store, she goes to the gas station. It's a credit card. Use your debit card to pay off your debit. You use your debit card, to pay off your credit cards. So for normal everyday purchases, just retrain yourself to not use your debit card. Now, obviously, if all you have is a debit card, you got to do that until you can get a credit card. But once you get your credit card, use your credit card for gas, grocery store, all of that stuff, and then pay it off with your debit card when the bill comes. Bree had her hand up.
Thank you, Adrian. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. So hi, everyone. My name is Bree Lassane. I'm also an Assistant Financial Center Manager for CQ. And Kakira, thank you so much for giving all the wealth of knowledge to all of the students and the people on the call. I just noticed a few things that I wanted to tie in. So George, you were mentioning earlier, like keeping $20 limit on your, or $20 balance on your card. I just wanted to clarify that a little bit. So one of the big misconceptions that we see is always carrying a balance. You want to make sure that if you spend $20, still pay that full $20 in that same billing cycle so that you're not paying any interest on it, but then spend another $20 the next month, so that you're always having that usage and establishing that bill payment history, because a lot of times we see that people will keep that 20, then it might get up to 50, but they pay 30 so that they're always keeping that 20. So that's definitely a misconception where you're wasting your money by carrying that balance from month to month where you pay interest. Also, there was one other I forgot. The credit scores. So that is correct. The 850 is the highest, but it's not just for elderly people. I don't normally even tell people this, but I'm under 40, and the last I checked, I had over an 820 credit score. So, it's definitely attainable. Now, of course, I actually have 20 years in of credit building because I did start just like the teens on this call with being a teenager at 18 and having my first credit card to be able to have that history to become a homeowner and own a car and things like that. But if used properly, if that 10% credit utilization and, using all of the keys that are taught on this call definitely are, useful so that you can get to that excellent 740 or 750 and above score that was mentioned earlier. So, definitely don't shortchange yourself. That was a message Yolanda said. So I just love all of the information provided. So thank you, Adrian, for putting this together. And those are just the few key things that stood out to me.
Thank you. Thank you. David, you had your hand up again? Okay, it just never was. All right. Well, I don't know. I don't see any other hands. I do want anyone that wants to take advantage of the relationship with CQ Credit Union and want to get their $1,000, $500 credit card, $500 line of credit. I want you to put your email in the chat. And also I want Q, I think you already put your information in the chat. Either you can reach out to her directly and they can set that up. If you want to be in contact or get in contact with George, please, 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 he's already put his information in the chat. Get in contact with him and share this information. Also, if you have not yet joined the Facebook group, we will make sure that you get that information because we're going to do follow-up Zooms. If you thought that this was helpful in any way, we want to hear from you guys the information that you want to be successful in your future. And I'm going to put the right people in front of you with the information to help you achieve your goals. And with that, I don't see any other hands raised. I just want to say thank you, David. Thank you to Yolanda. Thank you to George. Thank you from everybody at CQ Bank. And see you on the next one. I appreciate you guys.
Uncle Adrian, I think there was one hand from Bree.
Yeah, Bree was the representative from CQ. She just spoke.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Hey, Adrian, I just wanted to add really quick. I saw going through the messages, I did see a few people ask like if they are already CQ members, can they qualify for this for the $1,000 credit? So I just wanted to clarify. So if you are a CQ member, you can still get the credit cards in line of credit. One other thing, if you are already a member, if you share your CQ, Bree typed it in the chat earlier, but if you share it, if you refer someone, you actually get $25 and they get $25 as well. So it could be their your family member, your friend. So if you're sharing the same knowledge that you've learned on here with someone else, you can actually earn some more money off of that. So you can earn $25. And I'm just copying everyone's email so we can reach out to you separately as well.
Great. Great. So it's almost 4. I appreciate everyone for hanging in there almost 2 hours with us. Give yourself a round of applause. I thank you guys so much. I hope this was helpful to you guys. And I look forward to partnering with you on some major real estate deal or something big in the future once you've built your wealth. Thank you and see you on the next one.
Thank you. Have a good day. Good weekend.